Hey guys, it's Jesus McDonald here. My special guest today is Lorena Morales, who is currently the VP of Marketing of Go Nimbly, which is the first company actually to help SaaS businesses implement revenue operations. Lorena is a skillful storyteller and a relationship builder, and she uses these skills in her approach to both marketing and leadership, which have allowed her to grow teams for the past 7 years. In the interest of making the most of every minute, Lorena has lived and worked in several countries around the world, as well as earned her master's degrees in international marketing and strategic design management, which have served her to understand her customers, though through a different lens, which is design thinking and service design. Lorena, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jesus. That sounded a little fancy. Yeah. All of that is true. However, I think what defines me is just I am a very unsettled mind. I'm always looking for the new thing. And by the way, that pronunciation of my name, you do get some brownie points for that. You're probably one of the first ones that hit it from the very first time. So thank you for that. Very happy to be
Yes,
here.
exactly. No, same here. It's a pleasure having you on the show. I love that we're both in Silicon Valley. You're in San Francisco. I'm in San Jose. So when I looked at your LinkedIn profile, and I've been also just seeing you on LinkedIn through other podcasts too. So I've been really loving your personality, your vibe, and just the content around pretty much SaaS and B2B. So to me, I'm like, I got to have Lorena on the show.
Well, how that's you're being too kind to me. Yeah, I think it's been an interesting transition for me to now being kind of the spokesperson in the revenue operations space for Go Nimbly. So thank you for taking the time to look at other podcasts and other content that I put out there. It's always super nice to hear people are consuming those things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Now, let's dive right into the questions. Like, what's your story? What inspired you to choose a career in marketing, right? Why not a different avenue like sales or social media marketing, or maybe it's SEO, PPC, or maybe it's business development? I mean, what inspired you specifically to choose a career in marketing?
Um, I think I've done every single thing that you have mentioned, which is interesting.
Which is marketing.
Which is marketing at the end, exactly. So I think Jesus, what brought me to pursue um, marketing to its highest core, as you said, like doing every single part, both in demand generation and uh, and marketing overall. I think what put me in the road where I am today was my background is actually in product design. So I knew from very early stages in my professional career how to do products, how to
Mm,
do services. But soon I realized, okay, I know how to do all this fun stuff. How on earth am I going to sell it?
mm,
And and being an introvert, I never really trusted people, and that's kind of a rough thing to admit. But when I started my career with NGOs back in Latin America, I realized, hey, there's something that needs to pay my bills,
right.
still be in touch with people to this extent, and then understand the psychology of human beings. And so I came to the US to pursue my graduate education, and I saw that marketing had potential. I really understood that this is going to be a big thing. It's not going to be a cost anymore. It's going to be an investment, and people are starting to look at it as such. And so for me, being a hybrid between design, because I have lived and loved by design pretty much all my life, and combining that with marketing, I think I knew how to position myself some sort of like a hybrid, some sort
Mm,
of there's a combination between understanding design to not to hey, let's make things pretty, but more like design in the sense of how economies are changing based on design thinking and human-centered design and all these
right.
methodologies. And so that plays fantastically with marketing. And I think that's how I started my career, to really see how can I sell stuff. Um, and it's funny that you mentioned like why not sales, people have told me like, hey, you could be really good at sales, but I
Yeah.
don't think I am. I think it's a personality thing. I don't think I have the competitiveness on me that it's required to be successful in sales. So I think that's why I ended up in marketing.
Interesting. I think you have the personality to do it. I don't know if you want the stress and all the emotional roller coasters that come through it with the
Yeah,
sales.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
That
no,
is
believe me,
always
my
with sales.
yeah, exactly. No, my therapist bills could be way higher than they are right now. So nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
Now, a lot of marketing professionals are looking to advance in their careers, right? How did you go from being a marketing manager, then a marketing director to a VP of marketing? Like, can you explain that whole journey?
I think it would I could summarize that in one word, and it's trust.
Mm,
I think people believe that trust and respect comes with your contract, or it's something that people own you somehow, and nothing can be more wrong in this life. I think if there's something that I promised myself to do in order to stay in the United States was, if I am gonna do the networking thing, which was a nightmare for me at the very beginning, I have to admit, I told to myself, I'm gonna do it right. And I'm gonna create the connections that I need to my own abilities. I'm not gonna push it to the limits where I am uncomfortable, but I'm gonna make sure that I deeply connect with people. So I
yeah.
think more than the title on like how do you go from coordinator to manager to senior manager, whatever it is. I think it has to do more with the responsibilities, Jesus, because a lot of the times here in the Bay Area, you see titles that don't even make sense, at least not to
Yeah.
me. Like
No, same here.
ninja,
Yeah.
growth, uh, whatever, where I'm like, what does that even mean? And so I think I'm a skeptic of titles, but I do believe in responsibilities.
Right.
I've been lucky enough that over the past 6 years, my title has matched with the responsibilities and the team that I have managed. So
Mm,
I think the way you do it is find a company that is gonna bet on your talents and don't disappoint people. Work your ass to prove. It's sad to say because a lot of people say you don't have to prove anything to anyone. No, you
mm,
do. You do because people have expectations on you. And
mm.
so do your best and gain that trust. Work every single day to gain it and be accountable for your team.
Love that. And you hit some valuable points there too on the responsibilities, right? Like you have to own it. You have to want to take on the responsibilities because a lot of people do just look at titles and be like, oh, I want to get promoted to a marketing director or a VP of marketing, but they don't understand the responsibilities that come with it. And you're going to be held accountable on a whole different level too, right? Which is the expectations that you mentioned.
Absolutely. And I think in the new era of marketing where I'm telling you it's seen more as a strategic function rather than a support function, I think
Right.
owning a number, owning a revenue number changes entire thing,
Mm,
changes entire game for all marketing. So I think yeah, that accountability comes with that. Like how are you gonna make impact to the business in revenue, not just in growth, but in revenue.
right.
So yeah.
So it's interesting because we both seen that shift where it's more strategic, right? You got to own a number. Like
Hmm.
sales is bringing this. What is marketing bringing, right? What is the ROI? Like, are you helping us hit our quarterly quotas, right? So, do you think a lot of marketers kind of got turned off by that and was like, no, I still want to stay as a support only? Or did you see more people like really strive because of that?
Ooh, the favorite answer for everyone in Silicon Valley. It depends. It depends because I've seen marketers cracked, automatically cracked when you put them in front of that dashboard. Even though marketing has had to be analytical for a long time now, since marketing operations evolved, I think still a lot of marketers are very comfortable with, oh, I can't really measure brand. So
Mm,
let's just throw some spaghetti to the wall and that's going to be my day to day job without really saying, okay, what is that number that I need to hit, and how do I make sure that I talk to sales, and that I talk to my CFO and my CRO, and like all the functions
Right.
that marketing not necessarily has had a relationship in the past. um, so I've seen both. I've seen marketers that today are, oh yeah, I am enjoying this part of becoming a
Right.
revenue marketer. On the other hand, I also keep seeing marketers that I'm telling you that they are very okay with just reporting on what we call vanity metrics. So engagement,
Mm,
website traffic, like all those things that not
right.
necessarily are gonna do a difference in your customer journey or in the business.
Hmm. That's interesting. Yeah, because we've seen both sides, right? As
Yep.
marketing professionals. So that's something that, there's marketers that don't want to just do the support where, hey, I only do my marketing department and, I don't know any other side of the business. But then I know marketing professionals that are like, I want to be in the sales meetings. I
Mhm.
want to shadow the sales rep or the regional sales manager, right? Like, I want to be in the conference room with everyone. So it's interesting because you get two different types of breed in there.
Yeah, and doing the same. You're totally right, and I think I have learned how to become kind of the former, where I am performing um, prospecting calls. Like literally, I am in the phone
I
saying
love
the
that.
pitch, and it has been a little bit out of my comfort zone. I'm not gonna lie, especially with something as complex as revenue operations.
Hmm.
But I think there's no other way that marketers can be more effective if they don't obsess about what's going on in those calls.
Yeah, I love that you do that because I only know very little. I'm sure there's a lot of marketers that are doing the prospecting calls,
Yep.
are getting rejected, and they're feeling it, right? Are getting closed deals, right? Are taking notes and everything like that. And that's the best form of marketing is when you actually can listen to what the feedback they're giving you. That's
Yep.
awesome. So
Yep.
I love that you mentioned that. I love that you're doing that with the company. Another question that I had was with everyone doing pretty much the same thing in B2B space when it comes to marketing, as you know, what should marketing professionals in the B2B marketing space start doing to stick out?
I Jesus, that's a great one. And I think being in a consultancy, what I have learned is that there are kind of two steps to really become a customer focused or customer centered organization. And one of them is, okay, companies and especially marketing is starting to talk to their customers and talk
Mhm.
often to them. But the next step to that is how often you're talking to your customers. That doesn't happen very often, and you would think that
Interesting.
that companies that have reached the Series C, Series D, all the way to IPO, they understand their customers' needs and their customers' value propositions, etc. They don't, because a lot of times that seems like an extra legwork to how. Why am I going to talk to my customers? It seems, number one, unreachable because they are not going to allow me to go to their customers, and second, it's time consuming. So
Right.
I think a lot of organizations are more reactive than anything else. But if you start thinking about why B2C is successful, it's precisely because they go a level deeper. And I think for B2B is that's where you start. Not only talk to your customers, but talk to your customers. And that's gonna give you an entire different perspective of how are things in the organization. So that would, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. And how would somebody go about talking to the customer's customers?
It's tricky. I'm not going to tell you no. It's tricky because it's a lot of confidential information, because there's a lot of egos, because there's a lot
Mm,
of how are we going to handle the fact that we thought that we were doing X and in reality is Y, and our customers are perceiving this and that.
right.
So it's very tricky to convince people right now to give, as I told you, number one, time, and then second, how to make them comfortable enough to give you insights.
Hmm. The
And
customer giving you insights to their customers, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So the way we've been trying to tackle that is, first of all, doing a lot of hypotheses, doing a lot of durability testing, and kind of work with frameworks that have proved to be successful. And I think everything has to do with, if you show the why why on earth you want to talk to your customers. And if you
Mm,
tell them and explain to them, this is going to be beneficial for you because this is how we have helped other customers in the past. And there's information that you are not going to know. Your systems can only tell you so much.
right.
And the root of the problems or the issues that arise in every hyper growth organization, usually they come from how they are serving their customers. So again, it's not easy conversations, but I think if you establish the right frameworks and the right conversations, starting with the why, I think there's a 50% chance that you're gonna convince them.
That's good because it's making impact on a deeper level, and you're going
Yep,
directly to the issue or the source at least, right? So I really like
exactly.
that. So another question I have is, so you work for Go Nimbly as a VP of marketing, and Go Nimbly is the first revenue operations consultancy, as you mentioned, with the goal of driving high growth companies to increase revenue by 26% through eliminating operational silos, which is awesome. And I'm all about that. Can
Mhm.
you explain a little bit about the company and the services provided? Because this is big right now.
It is, and I feel revenue operations exploded probably over the past 2 years or so when you
Right.
are starting to see companies branding themselves as revenue operations solutions, revenue operations platforms, revenue operations products. The interesting thing about Go Nimbly, I think not only we were the first ones in the space back in 2016, I think Jason had a really interesting vision of this is not a buzzword, this is not going to be a trend, this is something that is going to effectively catch the revenue leakages through the entire customer funnel.
Mm,
Um, and it worked, and it really did work. Not only, I mean, you talk about operational silos. I think what revenue operations does is it does break the silos in your systems, but also in your people. And I think a lot of people, a lot of organizations are talking revenue operations based on either the finance engine or the operations teams per se.
mhm.
When in reality, you have to combine both. The silos existed because of a reason. And I think that understanding only comes from doing the work, not only talk the talk, but walk the walk. And revenue and Go Nimbly has been doing that as a consultancy, doing the executional work from the very beginning. So what it means is ultimately we become the operations teams of our customers, and we end up managing a large part, if not all, of their tool stack.
Mm,
Um, and that's only on the technical side, but on the strategic side, we kind of move across organizations where we probably penetrate through marketing operations, but we end up owning customer success ops and sales ops. And so it's been a great ride. I think seeing the validation that other companies are bringing to the table, it's simply amazing. But I think, yeah, doing the work for all these SaaS and PaaS companies has been really really wild.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, revenue is definitely where it's at. So I love what you guys are doing. Um, Last and final question, the question we've all been waiting for, not just playing, is do you have any advice or tips for our audience?
Yeah, I think uh, the first thing that I would say to someone starting in marketing
Hmm.
is understand the areas of marketing that you think you're willing to bet on the next 5 years, because there's something happening in marketing. There's so many arms to it that it's really hard to start your career in a specific area. Ultimately, what I recommend is to become as a journalist, because, and especially if you want to lead teams. If you don't want to lead teams and you just want to be the best at X or Y, then totally fine. And I would recommend to start in marketing operations potentially, simply because I see the more potential in that area. Marketing ops stopped being just the people in the machines, and now it's starting to gain a lot of power being strategists inside of the marketing function. So I would recommend understand how companies are moving, be very very vigilant on the trends, and then start somewhere and start fast. And the other thing that I would recommend is what we were talking at the very beginning, be comfortable with being your sales counterpart, or even deeper, like be comfortable being an AE. It sounds crazy because I'm not gonna say, "Oh, you have to be a salesperson in order to be a marketer." That's kind of crazy. But I think we're in the era where sales is becoming marketing and marketing is becoming sales. So the
Yeah.
earlier you start to adopt that mentality, the better and the more functional you're gonna be for any organization.
Mm, I love that. And it made me even think about it would be good for a salesperson to switch over to marketing as well because they have that background experience in sales, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So
for
that's
us,
crazy.
we're starting to think about leveling up AEs to the point that they almost become content marketers, and it's a very interesting
That is interesting.
exchange.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
it's good to
is.
experiment too because you never know. That might be what really sparks the whole thing.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have it pinpointed right now to say, yeah, that's exactly what is bringing revenue, but it's my hope because that level of partnership we've
Yeah.
never seen that before.
Yeah. That's interesting. You got to tell me how it goes. Well, anyways, Lorena, thank you for your time. This was awesome. I'm excited that we finally got an opportunity to jump on to do a podcast episode. And we definitely, since you're just in San Francisco, which is not too far away, we definitely have to meet up once all this COVID stuff blows over.
We will. I think the better days are coming, and I am more than ready to have a drink or two.
Awesome. Well, you make it a great day. All right.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.